You want to start it right now or give it a minute? Good morning, everyone. I'm just here to kind of start the day. And my name is Brad. I work at Gateway, which is where Jordan worked. I'm the chaplain there. And the family wanted to let me know that people are more than welcome to sit at the tables right now. If you'd like a place to sit, you're more than welcome to sit there. There's just a few housekeeping. I'm kind of here to help with the housekeeping things. Basic stuff. If you're looking for a washroom at some point during the day, it's around the corner. There's signs, pretty easy to get to. And you can go that door where the sign is. Just follow the signs. There's a reception to follow, 12 to 2. There will be there's a library around the corner, and there will be instructions at the end of the service. There's some board games and some artwork. The family will give some instructions about what's going to happen with those, so just pay attention till the end. I'd just like to also mention that there's at Gateway we put together a book of memories that we're going to give as a gift to the family. As it turns out, some of you have signed it already, but as it turns out, there's a few pages left, and be more than happy for people to write or add some memories that they have of Jordan. It will be a gift to the family so that when they're ready, that they can look through it and know how much he meant to us. And just to transition real quickly, Jordan was to the rest of the service. Jordan, we do a book club at Gateway, and one of the books that we read was The Picture of Dorian Gray, and by Oscar Wilde. And it meant something to Jordan because I believe he said he'd read it 3 or 4 times. And Oscar Wilde had, as some of you probably know, lived a very full life, but also he existed and lived and was famous at the time and was very popular, had achieved a lot of wealth and fame, but he also made some enemies and who were not fond of his lifestyle choices. Though that would get him, Oscar Wilde would end up having to go to jail for a couple years. So he had lived at the top end and he had kind of lived at the low end. He would go to jail for 2 years and he would do hard labor. In jail, he wrote letters to his ex-lover. And one of the things that stands out is he wrote at the end of that letter, "Where there is sorrow, there is holy ground." And so today there will be a lot of emotion. We've already laughed at some of these pictures. There will be other emotions, sadness, maybe anger, maybe all kinds of things. But where there is sorrow, there is holy ground, and all of those emotions are okay. Process them as you need to. He was a colleague, a friend, a family member, and I think he was beloved by us all, and we all miss him. And with that, I will say the order of service. If you're on, just pay attention to the order of service. There will be no more introductions. If you see yourself, if your name, just come up in the order that you are on the order of service, and we'll go that way. With that, Jordan's mom.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to all of you who came today. I know some of you came from far. We've got people, I think, from a couple countries and coast to coast. So thank you. And for those of you who are joining us online, thank you. I know I've been getting messages all weekend of people that are joining us online. Thank you for honoring us with your Saturday morning and for honoring Jordan and how much he meant to all of us. Jordan Daniel Pedde was born December the 25th, 1987, and he died May the 8th, 2026. He leaves behind his parents, Joyce and Alfred Pedde, his sister Jasmine, her husband Todd Duckworth and their daughter Ella, his sister Amber, her husband Darren Tate and their children, Jake and Kimber, and his brother Josiah, his wife Caitlin, and their children Elena, Levi, and Natalie. He's also lovingly remembered by his grandma, Doris Wentland, along with aunts, uncles, and cousins, and he will be deeply missed by his close friends who are like family to him, chosen family as he called you, as well as by his many other friends, colleagues, and by his guys at the Gateway. You might be wondering why Jordan is not in an eclectic or creative urn of some sort, and why we chose for him to be in a suitcase. Jordan was always ready to travel. Many of you know him as the guy who showed up with a backpack, maybe crashed on your couch, or whom you traveled with. Even on my Pandora family charm bracelet, all the children chose an emblem to represent themselves. Many years ago, Jordan chose the suitcase to represent himself. Jordan was always ready to go, and in the end, because of his faith and his relationship with God, he was sure of his final destination. As I said, Jordan was born on Christmas Day. He arrived 6 weeks early. He was not due until February the 6th. I thought I had time to get ready for him. He arrived just before midnight, just in time to be my best Christmas present ever. Maybe this was a first indicator of what a nocturnal creature he was going to become. We as parents lovingly called him, Alfred and I, our golden boy, a nickname his siblings did not appreciate. To them, he was also known to be the most extremely annoying person ever. And he was often suspected of making up random false facts just to argue. Right? We have a German term. It's called Schabernack. I don't know if you know the German word. It means to annoy or irritate intentionally, but without malice. That was Jordan, bugging you, but always with a big smile on his face. To us, Golden Boy suited because he was always sensitive and gentle, helpful and loving. His nickname as a child was Geordie, and as he grew up, it morphed into Geordie Man, a term that Ella, his oldest niece, coined as a child. She asked her mom, "Uncle Jordan is a man, right?" But he's kind of also a kid, and Geordie Man became the loving nickname that our family used from then on. Jordan was always creative. When he was very young, he would wake up extremely early. When we wanted to sleep in on a Saturday morning, all I had to do was put art supplies at the end of the kitchen table and say to him, "When you wake up, honey, go do some art." And he would happily create for hours and let the rest of the family sleep in. He loved costumes and dressing up, as many of you know, and you've seen in the slideshow. He liked Star Wars, so in grade 9, he started growing a Jedi braid that did not get cut off until his high school graduation. This speaks to his quirky, be-my-own-self personality. The Jedi braid was often accompanied by a Jedi robe, sometimes even a laser. In high school, he carried his books in his grandpa's old briefcase instead of a backpack. I think he went out of his way to break societal norms as a statement. I didn't realize until recently how he used all his quirky, weird things to make an intentional link with people for the sake of relationship. He intentionally built relationship with everyone. How many of you have an item or a thing that is uniquely special between you and Jordan? Many of you, I'm sure. Jordan was a very divergent thinker. He had the same teacher for grades 1, 2, and 3, so she knew him very well. She told me she liked to ask Jordan to comment last in circle or story time, because even after everybody else made their comments, his was always way outside the box. And she loved his perspective on life and people. As I've said, Jordan was deeply creative and artistic. He went to the Beale Art Program for a year after high school, where he explored many different medium. Pottery, silversmithing, silkscreen, leatherwork, photography, all these skills remained evident in his adult life. He was extremely creative in many mediums, but he especially loved pen and ink cross-hatching, most recently honing his skills on portraits and human anatomy. Jordan left Beale Art to go to India for 3 months with YWAM, that's Youth with a Mission. It helped to shape his philosophy about living simply. Jordan left Beale Art, to go to India. Jordan then attended the University of Waterloo for 3 years, studying anthropology, before completing his honors biblical theology degree at Trinity Western University in BC. He returned to Toronto, however, a city he always loved, to passionately live out a calling that had been in his heart since he was about 12 years old. Jordan struggled with health issues for many years. Before his diagnosis of Addison's disease, he was misdiagnosed several times and more than once almost died. Even after diagnosis, he lived with joint pain, exhaustion, low adrenaline, low cortisol, but he didn't complain or let it stop him. As Kaylee, his friend and landlord, said, he didn't waste a minute. He was always going to someone's house or having people over, like hosting one of his legendary board game nights. If he wasn't socializing, he was doing something artistic or he was playing one of his many instruments. He loved unusual instruments and was often building or learning to play something I'd never heard of before. Jordan was generous, always giving his art, his time, and his attention to people. Jordan had a gift for creating community and making people feel welcomed and valued. His faith in God shaped the way he lived. He lived intentionally, he drew his circle wide, and he loved people exactly as they were. Our journeyman loved his family. He loved his nieces and nephews. Anytime he came for a family get-together, he came with a backpack full of activities. Jordan would do with less clothing or grooming supplies to have more stuff and cool things to do with the kids. Jordan leaves a tremendous hole in all of our lives. Jordan was my playmate. It didn't matter if it was cooking or art or sewing something unique. We always had a blast thrifting together. My best thrift store memory, and I have pictures and I was remiss to put one in, is when Jordan tried on a huge lady's fur coat with very tight cuffs and he got stuck in it. It took 15 minutes for Grandma and I to extricate him, and all three of us were sweating when we finally got him out. We were sure, and the ladies in the store were sure, he was going to have to pay for it and take it home to be cut off. Alfred and I had some amazing holidays with him. Cuba, Dominican, Costa Rica. Our next destination was supposed to be 2 weeks in Spain. Some of his ashes will be going with us when we're able to make that trip. When we traveled together, he was my adventure buddy. Suspension bridges, zip lining, whitewater rafting, parasailing, snorkeling, and body surfing in the waves until we were all absolutely exhausted. He was always up for it, and we had so much fun together. But the most important thing that I can say about Jordan, though, is how he lived his life. He was happiest when he was serving others and actively in relationship with people. He lived with intentionality. He loved unconditionally. And that was because he knew he was loved unconditionally by his family and also by his God. His faith was the foundation that he operated from. He believed in practical ministry, in helping and loving and doing.
Check. Guitar coming through? Sweet. I'm Chris. I've known Jordan since we were toddlers at church camp. And I'm going to sing a song that I wrote for him. Well, I guess the day after. And if I say anything else, I'm going to go over time. But something Joyce said, it just reminded me of Jordan made my hat, the original one and this one. And one of the reasons I can't stop wearing the hat isn't because it's that great of a hat, but because when you're out in public wearing this hat, you get to make people's day without trying at all the time. And one of the last voice messages I sent him was 2 days after getting this hat. 3 days? My first day out in public here in Toronto with this hat, and I hadn't had the window between the original and this one was a bit. And I had like 7 people in an hour and a half just delighted by the hat. And I was like, I can never stop wearing some version of this hat. Anyway, hopefully that doesn't put me over time. Anyway, this one's for Jordan. Look around the room and I see so many tears. evidence of love built from friendship over years. We grieve and mourn together, 'cause together we are whole. Though there's a void among us the size of a soul. Yeah, we gathered 'cause he brought us, and he taught us how to be more than the sum of our parts, a true community. Yeah, we gather to remember and to share the way through pain, and we will gather in the future all of this love to sustain. None of us will play board games at Jordan's again. We were friends through childhood, started with a date. He was my first friend in Toronto, and his board game nights were great. We met 'cause of leather, we met because of arts. We met through another baron, he had all our hearts. Yeah, that verse was taken out of the chat with all the memories of the Bears. And we gather 'cause he brought us, and he taught us how to be more than the sum of our parts, a true community. And we gather to remember and to share the way through pain, and we will gather in the future all of this love to sustain. But none of us will play board games at Jordan's again. We're a legacy of his labor, the fruits of his great care, love bringing us together in his basement den of bears. So raise a glass to Jordan and plan to be with friends, for if we fail to gather, then part of Jordan ends. And we gathered 'cause he brought us, and he taught us how to be more than the sum of our parts, a true community. And we gather to remember and to share the way through pain, and we will gather in the future all of this love to sustain. But none of us will play board games at Jordan's. But none of us will play board games at Jordan's again. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Dave, and I'm a former resident of Gateway. Jordan came into my life about 8 years ago, first as a frontline worker who always had a bit of a laugh, and then later on as my case manager. Jordan, I would have written this down already, but you know how my procrastination goes. I'm still waiting. Jordan took me at a time when I was at my lowest, and he raised me up. He listened without judgment and showed his care and compassion. That's something that I can never repay, but I can pay forward, just like he would have asked. Jordan, from all of us at Gateway, we miss you so much, and rest in peace.
Good morning. My name is Ian, and I worked with Jordan at Gateway. When I think of Jordan, I think of someone who brought a sense of calm and peace everywhere he went. I had the honor of working with Jordan for 14 years at Gateway, a men's shelter just around the corner on Jarvis. And I'm incredibly grateful for the time we had together. A fond memory of mine was about 6 or 7 months into us working together. Jordan was hospitalized for a little bit and was returning to work slowly. And 1 week in particular sticks out, and we laughed about it for years. So here's how it went. We were working night shifts together, so 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And about 8:15, 8:20 every night, we would do a debrief, but Jordan wasn't there that night. And I was like, okay, I'll give him a call. So I gave him a call from the front desk phone, and I woke him up. He was good. He got there by bed check at 10, but that happened 3 nights in a row. I woke him up 3 nights in a row that week, and we often told that story together for years. I remember, and people that know Jordan from work knew that he had an ability to fall asleep in most meetings and trainings, and everything where he wasn't directly involved in, he would be sleeping. And it was a good time, a good laugh for all of us, because it was just Jordan. He'd just fall asleep. It was great. So that's a good memory. Beyond some of the funny stories with Jordan taught me one of the biggest lessons that I learned from him was not to go and fix things straight away when there's a problem, to slow down, take a breath, and move forward slowly, because that's what people needed to be heard and listened to. And I'll be ever grateful for that lesson. Over the years, the past few years, we've made a habit of just catching up, having breakfast in his office once a week. And it's been a great time for me just to catch up with Jordan and just talk about life. And since his passing, I've continued to do that in his office. So I say to you, wherever you met Jordan, at the games nights, at events, or I hope that you would spend some time in that space again to feel his presence and just be close to him, because he was really joyful when he spent that time with his people, right? One time in the drop-in, we were working a day shift together, and one of our residents was getting kind of threatening with Jordan and getting really loud. Unbeknownst to Jordan, 3 residents, probably my size, stood up behind Jordan and kind of give a intimidating pose, like to not mess with him. So we often laugh about that because he didn't see them, because the situation got settled pretty quickly, but he didn't see that 3 people behind him were threatening him. So just know people had his back at work and in his community. Side by side over the years, we've done countless housing plans, move-outs, follow-up visits in people's homes after their time in the shelter. And that's when I got to see a real side of Jordan where he just knew how to make people feel at home and loved and cared for. It really came out through his work and through his life, and that's evident here today. From staff retreats up north to meals after shifts and simply living in the same neighborhood, Jordan was more than a coworker. He became a dear friend, and I will miss seeing him around the Danforth. And I miss breakfasts together already. Jordan, thank you for your friendship, your wisdom, your patience, and all the quiet ways you made this world better. You'll be deeply missed and never forgotten, and you have a great beard.
Hi, I'm Arthur. I'm just so honored that he was my friend and I wrote this. There are lessons that some people seem to learn early, lessons that can feel like universal truths. When somebody is good but misunderstood, you make a seat for them. When somebody feels things intensely, you tell them they can talk to you. When someone feels subjugated, different, or scared, you make sure that they know that they're not alone. I spent a lot of my life feeling alone. I spent a lot of my life wondering why I felt damaged or wrong. Jordan was the person who made me feel human. And not just human, but like my emotions, my experiences, and my place in the world were just as valid as anyone else's. Jordan spent a lot of time contemplating things. He didn't rush to simple answers. He understood that truth is not always so simple, and that sometimes two seemingly opposing ideas can both contain truth. He believed that the complicated places are often where the most interesting truths live. He wasn't afraid of complexity. When he found truth, he lived it. He didn't just believe in community, he created it. He didn't just believe in chosen family, he built it. He believed that people could change, especially when they were met with patience, support, and affirmation instead of judgment. He believed that none of us were meant to carry life alone, and more importantly, he lived those beliefs. He created spaces where people could be honest about who they were. He made people feel welcome. He made people feel safe. When I first met Jordan, I would have described myself as a hapless introvert, and through what I can only describe as aggressive socialization, he somehow turned me into someone now finds it difficult to be alone. Jordan had an incredible gift. He seemed to be able to see the values that people already held, and then and sometimes before they could see them themselves. And then, almost without you noticing, he would gently encourage you to live up to them. He didn't try to make people into someone else. He helped them become more fully themselves. I spent a lot of time asking myself how to carry on his legacy. What would Jordan want? It's a complicated question, and I might already know the answer. He would want each of us to become the best version of ourselves. I've had to do a lot of self-examining lately because so much of who I am today was shaped by his influence. If there's anything I can do to honor Jordan, it's not to become more like him, it's to make other people feel as human as he made me feel. I've rewritten this speech like 5 times, looking for meaning or perfection. I wanted a profound speech that showed people the beauty of life and how much he impacted me. I wanted it to show my appreciation to him in an impactful way. I'm not sure if I'm capable of this right now, and he would tell me that's all right, and that the act of trying is more important than the result itself. He believed that imperfections and failures were just as beautiful and meaningful as the things that we succeed at. He used to say that being crappy at something was the best way to start. Maybe this speech isn't supposed to be perfect. Maybe it's just supposed to be honest. Jordan, thank you for making a seat for me. Thank you for helping me discover who I already was. Thank you for showing me what chosen family could be. Thank you for reminding all of us that none of us were ever meant to carry life alone. Looking around this room today, I think we're all part of your greatest accomplishment. You made people feel seen. You made people feel safe. You made people feel human.
Hello, everybody. It's very hard to follow these wonderful sentiments and memories of Jordan. I'm going to give it a try, and I'll probably end up off script, but I'm going to try and remain on time. For the folks that are out there on the web, thank you for joining us. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here to celebrate Jordan's life. Like many of you, I've struggled to make sense of losing him so suddenly and so young. At 38 years old, Jordan still had so much life ahead of him. There were still trips he wanted to take, campsites he wanted to discover, meals he wanted to cook, games he wanted to play, and conversations he wanted to have. It feels impossible that he's no longer with us. I do solely miss him bounding up to my front door a couple of times a week so that we could go to the gym. If I had the dogs with us, spend time with the dogs. And he was just part of the fabric of my day-to-day life. I was lucky enough to call Jordan a very close friend. And when I think about him, what stands out most is not any single accomplishment, but the way he lived his life. Jordan was curious about the world. He loved to travel and explore new places. He found joy in the outdoors, whether it was camping, under the stars, or simply being surrounded by nature. He could equally be happy around a campfire, gathered around a game table with friends, or in a kitchen creating a meal to share with others, or just hanging out on our sailboat in Georgian Bay and floating around having cocktails. In a life jacket, sort of like a diaper. Because why use anything the way it was intended to be used? Jordan chose a profession that reflected who he was at his core, and we talked about it frequently. As a social worker and frontline worker helping homeless men, he dedicated his life to people who were too often overlooked. He believed that every person deserved dignity, respect, and a chance to be heard. Those weren't just values he talked about, they were values he lived every day. He cared deeply about people and about making the world a better and fairer place. Whether discussing politics, social issues, or the challenges people face, Jordan brought both conviction and empathy to the conversation. He cared because he genuinely wanted things to be better for others. What made Jordan special was he never seemed to lose sight of our shared humanity. He could be passionate, thoughtful, funny, and stubborn all at once. And I love the debates that we used to have on whatever topic, and he would just sometimes take the contrary position just because. And see if he could test my mettle or any of his friends' mettle to see if we could change his position. He also made everybody feel welcome. He had a way of connecting with people from all walks of life. The measure of a person's life isn't how long they live, it's the difference they make while they're here. Jordan leaves behind countless people whose lives were improved because they knew him, worked with him, laughed with him, traveled with him, shared a meal, or just simply crossed paths with him. We wish we had more time with him. We wish we were more memories to still make, but we can be grateful for the memories we do have and the privilege for having known him and loved him. Jordan's life reminds us to care deeply, to explore wildly, and to stand up for what we believe in, and most importantly, to look after one another. We'll miss him terribly, but we'll carry him with us always. Thank you, Jordan, for your friendship, your kindness, and the impact you made on all of our lives. You will never be forgotten. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paul. Joyce and the family reached out, invited me to speak, and I'm truly honored. And an enormous thanks to the family for having this event so that Jordan's community gets this chance to celebrate him. To our friend Jordan, in almost all of my best memories from the last decade, Jordan was a core part of them. A costume like this one is a great emblem for how Jordan was brilliant, crafty, and really shined bright. I am still finding pieces of Jordan's amazing costumes that went rogue during my Halloween parties, be it fragments of a disco ball or feathers from a biblically accurate angel. Years after the fact, might I add, they are now holy artifacts in my apartment forever. We had some scary times too, like an unexpected middle-of-the-night hospital run in Mexico. It was a frightening night, but thankfully we got Jordan the care that he needed, and it gave us more precious years with him. Jordan had a level of kindness, positivity, acceptance, and a secure way to walk through life that most people could only aspire to. In so many of life's situations, people can still ask themselves, how would Jordan respond? Jordan, you have inspired us. You continue to inspire me. You continue to inspire us all. Real strength is not putting others down, but instead lifting others up. Jordan never put people down. In a world where we see so much division, you were a unifier and a beacon of hope. You brought people together. You did not expect perfection from anyone. You did not expect people to be anything but themselves. You did not judge people. You accepted them as they were and provided a safe space that allowed people to feel like they could be themselves. Part of me feels anger because it feels like the universe should reward someone like Jordan with many more years, not less. But I also feel gratefulness for the time we chose to spend together. You inspire me, and I am a better person for having had you in my life. Jordan, you were not just one of the good ones. You were one of the best ones. I am thankful and so deeply honored to be your friend.
Good morning. My name is James, and Jordan was probably one of the first people I met when I first moved to Toronto 11 years ago. No one is ever truly gone. As a priest and pastor, I have said these words time and again to many people following the loss of a loved one, and now I have to reflect on these words myself. I believe it to be a universal truth, regardless of whether one is a part of a faith or a Christian community or not. For we all as humans grieve the loss of our loved ones and remember them in our own ways. While there is comfort in the memory that has been etched on all of our hearts, it is still painful when we go through life and hear the echoes of those whom we love and see no more. But we are still united to those whom we love because the stories we create still go on, when we share who people like Jordan were and who they are with others in our lives. To say that Jordan impacted the lives of so many would be something of an understatement. Were we all to share the stories of who Jordan was, were we to write them all down, I believe that we would be here for a long time and that those stories would wrap around this earth, because Jordan was a blessing to so many people. Jordan had a way of encountering people wherever they were in life and helping them grow to become better versions of themselves. He had a way of diving into a person's heart, finding beauty there, and helping people bring that beauty forth into their own lives. Jordan had a quiet spirituality and faith, one that he and I often talked about, and certainly we had disagreements about from time to time. But that spirituality and faith wasn't segregate from the other parts of his life. It was something that informed how he interacted with others. To love God requires loving one's neighbor as oneself, and Jordan honored that command by not only loving others, but teaching others how to love themselves so that they in turn could better love others. In my darkest days when I felt that I would never be able to love myself, Jordan never gave up on me and helped me learn what it meant to live and love again. And I imagine many of you have experienced something like this in your own lives. He was willing to drag me, kicking and screaming sometimes, out of my own darkness into the light. So then, what does it mean to say that Jordan is never truly gone? How do we remember him so that we aren't just holding on to fading embers of a fire, but breathing new life into a burning flame? Jordan's kindness was grounded in that golden rule of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. When we share the love that Jordan had for all of us with one another, we honor that memory. When we reach out with love to those who feel lost, we honor his memory. When we reach out with love to the stranger, we honor his memory. Love, even amid sorrow and grief, is the canvas on which life emerges, and it is what remains even when all the stories end, when memories fade and echoes are silenced. When we share the love Jordan gave to us with one another, we find that even as he rests in peace, he is never truly parted from us.
All right, Pedde family, come up and start getting ready while I talk a bit. Sorry. All right, so it's not a Pedde family gathering unless somebody's making music. So we are going to play a song for you. This is my mom, my dad, Jake and Kimber, Jordan's niece and nephew, Ella, his other niece, and my husband, Todd, Jordan's brother-in-law, and I'm Jasmine, his oldest sister. I'm the sibling that's most like Jordan. We are similar in many ways, but Jordan was louder, brighter, more friendly, more creative, more outgoing, more goofy, more opinionated, just more. He was the most. Something else we had in common is that we both had faced our own mortality, living with disabling chronic illnesses, and so we talked about death all the time. We actually had the same diagnosis anniversary, which I called our anti-death days, the day we cheated death with modern medicine. And we would often send texts to celebrate that we were each still alive. I know many of you in this room have witnessed some of his fairly frequent near-death experiences. He was a little, again, more familiar with death than me. Always more. He always had to do it more. And I know many of you witnessed those scary moments and actually dragged him back to life. So thank you for that, for giving us more time with him. He knew the value of that time, and he never took it for granted. As everybody has said, he lived intentionally and he invested that extra time wisely in his people. So we're going to sing a song together. You're welcome to sing with us. This is a song that Jordan liked. He put it on a playlist for me years ago. It's called Draw the Circle Wide, because that's how he lived. He drew his circle really wide. And he loved hard. He made sure people knew it. But now after his death, his circle, you guys, have done the same for us. The amount of love that we have received from you, his colleagues, his community, his friends, his chosen family, it has been astounding. Thank you for standing side by side with us and taking care of us as you took care of him. So please rise in body or spirit and sing with us now as we remember Jordan and the way he lived. First, give me a minute to deal with this and get my instrument. You're welcome to stand if you want. You don't have to. What did we decide? I'm going to sing the chorus once to teach, and then we're going to go in? Or oh, yeah, give me a chord. So I'll sing through the chorus once to teach it to you. Then I'll stop, and then we'll all play, and we'll all sing, okay? So, give me a chord. Draw the circle wide. Oh, I'm in the... Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. So that's how it goes. You're welcome to sing along if you'd like.
Okay.
All right. Chord. Draw the circle wide. Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. God's the still point of the circle, round whom all creation turns. Nothing's lost but held forever in God's gracious arms. Draw the circle wide. Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Let our hearts touch far horizons, so encompass great and small. Let our loving know no borders, faithful to God's call. Draw the circle wide. Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide.
larger than we've ever dreamed before. Let the dream of Christ be in us, open every door. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song, no one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide, draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song, no one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Thank you for being part of our circle.
Hi, I'm Alex. I worked with Jordan at the Gateway. I'm just going to read a really quick scripture and a really brief homily to honor Jordan. This is from a letter to the Galatians. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. If you're led by the Spirit, you're not under the law. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. I have a couple anecdotes that don't really relate, so I'm just going to say them off the top, and then I'll try to get back on track. I started a new role a few years ago at work, and Jordan is close with my partner Madison, and they would hang out socially. And I heard that he said to her something to the effect of, I can tell he wants to do a good job, but he really needs to calm down, and or else he's just going to burn himself out. And he was right, and there's a lot of wisdom there, and he was absolutely right. I needed to calm down. And then my very first day at working at the Gateway in 2014, Jordan had already been working there for a while. Another colleague who shall not be named told me that I needed to give this elaborate background story to why I wanted to be in this field at dinner time after the grace. And so I had in my head, 3 or 4 minutes of talking, which would have been ridiculous because that's not what we do at Gateway. And I was just about to speak, and Jordan stepped in and said, "He's playing with you. You don't have to do that." And he saved me. But yeah, okay. Back to sort of the homily. The fruit of the Spirit. I know you've probably heard this many, many times. It's a singular. It's strange. You'd think it would say the fruits of the Spirit, but it's singular because Joyce said this actually to me a month ago that. Jordan had all of them, and I don't think that's simply a mother's love for her son, exaggerating his gifts, but he did have all of them, and I think that's how it works. You if you walk in the love of Christ, if you walk in love, you have all these attributes, all these gifts: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. In the kingdom of God, that's where the fruit of the Spirit dwell. And in the passage I read, and other people have said this already, love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus said those words, and many people have repeated it because everything's summarized in that. If you can do that, you're on the right track. And Jordan did that. He believed that, and he modeled that for us. He had a painting of a cathedral in his office, and it's now in my office. And cathedrals are constructed in such a way to make us look up, and we can't help. It demands us to look up at the beautiful ceilings and light coming in. And the name Jordan, the Hebrew, Jordan, means to descend. And so when I think about Jordan now, I think about looking up and realizing that the good and the divine, the love has already descended down, and in that meeting we find Christ. And Jordan, he did that so well. He one of the songs that Jasmine had playing on the playlist at the beginning, I hadn't heard this song before. Yoshimi battles the pink robots by the Flaming Lips, but for some reason I've repeated it a lot because it makes me think of Jordan. And one of the lyrics are, but you won't let those robots defeat me. And to pair that with the fruit of the Spirit, there's a lot of suffering and violence in the world and the wrong kind of weapons that are used. But Jordan's weapons were these pearls, these fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. My daughter, when she was little, used to sing a song with me, and the lyrics said, chasing thunder, chasing lightning too. You never wondered what they thought of you. And a lot of you have already pointed out Jordan's complicated journey with religion and with people with religion. And he obviously got to a point where he didn't wonder what people thought, and he lived the way of someone who knew where they stood with Jesus. And that's Jordan. So I'll just close with a couple lyrics from Psalms that are joy-filled, realistic about life, but joy-filled for a joy-filled man. Jordan Pedde. Though you've made me see troubles, many and bitter, you will restore my life again. From the depths of the earth, you will again bring me up. For you have been my hope, my confidence since my youth. From birth, I have relied on you, and you brought me forth from my mother's womb. I will ever praise you. Jordan was helpful, Jordan was joyful, and Jordan was admirable. The suitcase is a beautiful metaphor that reminds us that he knew where he stood with the divine. He lived his life that way, and he knew where he was going. And I don't know, somehow poetically, the day before he passed, he was working, and he was hanging lights at the gateway in the smoke pit, and he was doing that for a few hours. And he came to my office around 3:00, and he usually would end at 4:00, and he was just telling me about all the work, and I said, thanks so much, good work, go home. So good work, Jordan, go home.
Hi, I'm Jordan's sister Amber. I'm not one of the public speakers in my family, so I'm not here to make a speech of my own, but I'm here as Jordan's voice. Jordan loved his community and continuing to grow and build his community. One of his connections was through his board games. His legendary game nights have been mentioned and even sung about today. Jordan made sure to leave his wishes for his board games. It was his top priority in his after-death wishes. Jordan wanted them brought here. He wanted each of you to take one. Use it to build connections and community in Jordan's memory. Jordan was also working on distributing some of his artwork. So if he hung out with you and had a good night, he would often go home and draw a picture of the good time. He had stacks of portraits. A year ago, he started giving the portraits to the people in them as he saw you. He hadn't finished this mission, so we brought some here today. If you see your face on one of the portraits, please take it. Jordan wanted you to have it. The games and portraits are in the library, which is through there or down the hall. We'll open it from 1 to 2, so after lunch, before you leave, please go in and select your items. You'll notice the items have stickers in memory of Jordan on them. There are also extra stickers, so you can take some to remember him, or if you already have a special item at home and you want a sticker to put on it, please take them. I don't need 900 stickers of my brother's face. All right. And Jordan loved his job at Gateway and poured his heart and soul into it. If you'd like to support Gateway in Jordan's honor, there's also a donation box in the library, and a link will be provided for anyone who wants to donate online. Now, lastly, Jordan left some final words for all of us. These next words are his and not mine. I haven't feared death in at least a decade. I've almost died many times to the point that I've accepted death. I've lived my life accordingly, and if I'm gone, it was my time. Death is a part of life. I've enjoyed my life to the fullest and loved a great many people. Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes. I love you all. And now Jordan's grandma is going to end the service with a prayer.
Good morning. I'm Jordan's grandma, and I'm happy to share a few words with you. My husband and I, we lived in Africa. We lived in Alberta, actually, and we're thrilled when we got the news that Joyce and Alfred were blessed to have added a son to their family of 2 daughters. I prayed for Jordan every day, that God would keep him healthy and strong as he was growing up, as I pray for all of my children and my grandchildren every day. When the family moved to their farm, I came to help them while they were renovating their old farmhouse. The floor was so cold, so I sat and I rocked and cuddled Jordan because he was just a baby. And that's when I fell in love with him. Then when we got the news that Jordan was trampled by a cow, we prayed earnestly that God would perform the miracle so that he would recover, that he would be able to carry on his life in a normal way. And God certainly did that for him. The year Jordan was in university in Vancouver, he came to our home to spend Christmas with us. So he was with us for 2 weeks. And Jordan loved to cook, as you've already heard. And so we spent many happy hours in the kitchen together. What a fun time that was. Now Jordan has run his race, and he is at peace in the arms of God. So let us cherish our memories of the times we had that we spent with Jordan, and embrace what he modeled by living a life of faith. This concludes our service and our time of memories. And we welcome you all to stay and have lunch with us. The food was prepared today by David and David. And then after the main course will be served, you will find a huge table of goodies that Amber baked. You know, Amber loves to bake, and so she baked all of the things that she baked while Amber and Jordan worked together at a camp, and so they baked a lot of these things very often. So Amber felt that she could bake them in Jordan's memory and just bring them here. So enjoy our lunch. And now I would just like to say grace for the food, and then we will conclude our service. Father in heaven, we are so thankful for the many friends that have gathered today to celebrate Jordan's life. We thank you, Lord, that we can gather in this way. We thank you for the food that has been prepared. We pray that your blessing would rest on it, and that we would be nourished and encouraged as we go on in our lives together. Thank you, Father, for all your goodness, for your guidance, and for your peace. In Jesus' name, amen.
I just need to access.
We'll put the slide back up in a minute. People were trying to scan QR code.